¿Qué es un verbo? In English, a verb is an action word. Here are some examples. Run, speak, climb, think, swim, study. The infinitive. The main form of a verb is called the infinitive. In English, the infinitive includes the word to in front of it. This is how we can easily identify infinitives in English. Some examples are to run, to speak, to climb, to think, to swim, to study. El infinitivo en español. In Spanish, the main form of a verb is also called the infinitive. However, in Spanish, the infinitive does not include the word to in front of it. It's actually already implied in the word itself. Instead, verbs in Spanish can be identified by their endings. Infinitives in Spanish will always have one of three endings: AR, ER, or IR. Some examples in Spanish are the verb correr, hablar, abrir, pensar, escribir, y beber. The infinitive is just like a piece of clay. You can mold it to fit the subject that you are talking about, which is what we focused on in our last lesson. We get the verb to agree with the subject. So let's take the infinitive to talk, for example, and mold that in English. We would change it to I talk, you talk, he or she talks, we talk, you all talk, or they talk. La conjugación en español. Vamos a conjugar el verbo hablar, to talk, en español. Yo hablo, tú hablas, él, ella, usted habla, nosotros hablamos, vosotros habláis, ellos, ellas, ustedes hablan. And again, the vosotros form is only used in Spain. So this is the exact same molding of the verb hablar, or to talk, just in Spanish. So as you saw in the last slide, we molded the infinitive to fit the subject. This action is called conjugating the verb. The verb box. Often verbs are represented in the form of a box. This is how it is actually set up when you are conjugating a verb. You have two columns, singular and plural, and you have 3 rows within each column. You have the first person, singular, yo, the yo form of the verb, and you have first person plural, nosotros, and the nosotros form of the verb. You have the second person, singular, tú form of the verb, and the second person plural, vosotros form of the verb. Lastly, you have the third person singular, él, ella, usted form of the verb, and the third person plural, ellos, ellas, ustedes form of the verb. So let's review with the verb ser. We've discussed this many times throughout the year, so it should be very familiar. It is one of the most important verbs in Spanish. It means to be. Ser is the infinitive form of the verb, so it's unchanged. But now we are going to conjugate to be in English. I am, you are, he or she is, we are, you all are, they are. Más repaso. Ser in the box. Now we're going to put that verb and conjugate it in the form of the box that we just used, singular and plural. Tenemos yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, usted es, nosotros somos, vosotros sois, ellos, ellas, ustedes son. And notice that we always go from the top left to the top right column. So we always start on the left side, at the very top, go down. Then we start on the right side at the top and go down. So there's a specific way that we read these verb boxes. Es el fin. Adiós.